Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Alex sneaked up on Brady as he sobbed his troubles away in a bar. Alex sat down at the empty table and started moaning about his terrible week. As for Brady, he assumed he was back on the bottle because of Teresa, just like him. Brady pretended to be sipping on club soda while simultaneously sharing Alex's sorrow at the difficult period. Alex regarded himself another loser who hadn't warranted a mention in Victor's will. While Brady raised a glass to losers, Alex brought Teresa into the toast as well. Alex voiced his dissatisfaction with his housing situation. After Brady brought up Xander, Alex admitted that Xander's emotions were likely complicated, but he still had the life that Alex thought was rightfully his. It was encouraging that Brady brought up the fact that Alex still had Justin as a father figure. Alex agreed that reclaiming Justin's place in his life had been the one bright light. Alex then reprimanded Brady over perhaps getting back together with Kristen. Brady used the terms toxic and radioactive to describe his relationships with Kristen and Teresa, respectively. He made it clear that he was done with women and that neither relationship will be repeated. He doubted Alex when Alex made the same declaration. Alex exited on good terms with Brady, and Brady offered to pay for both their drinks. Brady sent a text to Tate and exited the bar. A despondent Stephanie walked off the elevator at the hospital. Kayla greeted her and quickly guessed that something was wrong. Stephanie tearfully informed her astonished mother that Everett had died. As Kayla comforted her, Stephanie spoke out about what had happened and her feelings of remorse for not having been able to help Everett through his anguish. Kayla begged Stephanie not to blame herself for Everett's mental health concerns. Stephanie divulged that Everett had surfaced before he died, and he had professed his love for Stephanie. Stephanie lamented that she had not had the time to say it back, and she sobbed in Kayla's arms. Kayla offered her daughter a place at her and Steve's home, but Stephanie rejected and claimed she'd be moving back to the apartment she had lived with Chad. They discussed Chad and his unwillingness to move on from Abigail. Both wished for the best for Chad in his hunt for Abigail, especially because Chad would remain in limbo without solid answers. Stephanie's thoughts wandered again to Everett, and she voiced remorse that Everett had ever sought to find her. Kayla stated that Stephanie shouldn't think that way but instead should remember the pleasant times she had enjoyed with Everett. Kayla reminded Stephanie that she had even been willing to wait for him to heal. Stephanie again broke down and cried on Kayla's shoulder. Chad and Jack arrived at a warehouse near Poplar Bluff and discovered a locked door. Chad insisted he would not waste another second if Abigail was there, and he kicked in the door. Chad and Jack ran in and were surprised to see a gagged and supposedly unconscious John. Chad unfastened John as Jack roused him. A sleepy John was astonished to realize he was not in Greece but in Missouri, and he was similarly bewildered as to why Jack and Chad were there. Jack gave John a phone so John could call Marlena. When Marlena answered, she assumed it was Jack at first but was relieved to hear John's voice instead. She wanted to know what had happened. John assured her he was okay and that he had made peace with Katharina's death. He promised to explain when he returned home, and he stopped the call. Chad analyzed the space and found that it had to be the identical room as the one in the video. John again inquired why Chad and Jack had arrived. John raised an eyebrow when Chad said that he and Jack had been hunting for Abigail. As Chad and Jack updated John on Clyde's claim, John showed doubt and advised the men not to accept Clyde. Upon Chad's inquiries, John could not remember anything about his abduction or any mention of a mystery woman. When John said that he wished to wait for his kidnappers to return, Chad demanded that he and Jack stay, too. Chad thought the kidnappers might have information about the mystery woman. John firmly cautioned against it, but Chad was adamant. After Jack took John to the hospital, Chad found a piece of jewelry on the floor. He inspected it and wondered if it belonged to Abigail. At Marlena's office, Marlena grew anxious as she confronted Steve about John's location. Steve replied he was sorry and grudgingly confirmed that John was missing. Steve recalled having visited Katharina's grave and having discovered flowers as well as a blood-stained letter there. Marlena realized that Steve could not even confirm if John was alive. After Marlena's call with John, Steve asked her why John was with Jack. Marlena filled Steve in on the developments in Missouri. John had told her that someone had hit him over the head at Katharina's grave, but John couldn't identify the attackers. Marlena also commented on the peculiarity of where John had ended up and of Jack and Chad having found John. Steve believed that the location might be in reference to Clyde's allegation that Abigail was alive. Kayla joined Marlena and Steve and was glad to discover that John had been located. However, Kayla got sad as she prepared to tell Marlena about Everett. In Fiona's hotel room, Fiona begged with Xander for a second chance at mending their relationship. When she acknowledged her love for him, he appeared to be melting but became sidetracked when he discovered underwear on the floor. Xander took them up and wanted to know the owner of the knickers. Fiona remembers having told Brady to leave via the window. She then constructed a narrative about meeting a man at Naughty Bits and sharing the night with the charming gentleman. Xander wondered who the man could be, because Fiona had recently arrived in town. Fiona disregarded the thought that Xander could know the individual and indicated her uneasiness about discussing the matter with her son. Xander agreed the talk was growing unpleasant, so Fiona resumed making her case to Xander that she had changed. She said that her absence from him had not been by choice and that she had fought hard to keep her sobriety. Xander assured his mother that he believed her. Fiona inquired if Xander had forgiven her. Xander remembered having always felt like the black sheep of the family, and he still couldn't come to grips with why Fiona had lied to him. Fiona tried to defend her conduct and again mentioned her sobriety. Xander acknowledged that he had been given many second chances, so he could forgive his mother. Fiona felt emotional and hugged him. Xander cracked that he only had time to be upset with one parent at a time. Fiona defended Victor and said that Victor had tried to make amends by gifting Xander his riches. She quietly asked Xander when he planned to claim his birthright. Xander voiced uncertainty because of the way Victor had handled him. Xander also maintained that Sarah and Victoria had changed him for the better, and he wanted to spend time with them. Fiona scoffed at Xander becoming Mr. Mom and at his desire to turn down controlling a multinational firm. She persuaded her son to stake his claim as Alexander Kyriakis. Xander wanted to focus on marrying Sarah, but he wondered if Fiona disapproved. Fiona argued that she did not and that she had simply not wanted Xander to make a major life decision, considering the previous occurrences. He swore that he could multitask if he opted to manage Titan, so Fiona granted her support. Xander invited her to the wedding when it took place. After Xander left, Brady showed up at Fiona's door, and she let him inside with a provocative look. They joked about Brady's previous escape via the window, and Brady picked up his boxers to put them back on. Fiona stopped Brady and reminded him that she'd claimed 3 times the charm in relation to him remaining in her bed. He responded by kissing her forcefully. Brady yanked off her top, and they collapsed into the bed, laughing. Alex came into the Titan executive office and regrettably began to clean down his desk. He was interrupted by Xander's arrival, and Xander offered to keep Alex on at Titan. Alex declined and stated that he thought Titan would be in excellent hands with Xander, since Xander had successfully run the company before. Alex also took off Victor's watch that Maggie had given him and presented it to Xander, as Maggie had wanted Victor's son to have it. Xander eventually accepted the watch, and he and Alex wished one another well. Stephanie arrived at her apartment door and ran into Alex, who was again taking up residence across the hall.